Hi everyone, Nigel Saunders here. This is the first day since I brought all my tropical trees in from the outdoor greenhouse into the new restructured plant room. But I still have a lot of construction to go. I'm lucky the first day back in the plant room is a nice sunny day. Most of my trees are in the development stage where I'm trying to grow, a root system, a trunk, a branch structure. So over the summer, I usually let them grow quite freely. And, summer is a time for growing. If you want to grow a tree, just let it go wild in the summer and they'll shoot giant shoots up and grow tall and healthy. And so in fall, I have to bring them back in the plant room. So I've got to get them back to a compact size. So that's where I'm going to start today, reducing some of my tallest trees, reducing them back in size to something that's more manageable in the plant room here. In the plant room here, I also need to finish my construction work, getting vapor barrier up and shelving and, to fit all the trees from the basement, move them back up here. So I need a bench I can work on that's small and portable. So I've got this fish tank stand and I'll have to put a plywood top on it. And that'll be my workbench for now. And so that'll be the first project in the plant room, is to put together this small workbench so I can start pruning these tall trees back. Here's a look at the stand I was thinking of using. It's fairly strong. It's an old aquarium stand that I got at an auction. So I've got this plywood top that kind of fits nicely on top. So I'll have to screw the plywood top to the top of the metal stand so it's more secure. And that'll be my workbench for now. My first step for the table will be to drill a series of holes around the edge so I can screw the plywood top on. So I'll do that now. I found some really short screws that'll work. They won't stick up through the plywood, so I'll use those. All right, I'll drill the holes now. So I'm going to put one each end here and two on the long part. So here I go. There we go, we got all the holes drilled. My next step, I'll flip the table upside down and put it on top of the plywood. Good side facing up. And I'll line it up and then I can put my screws into the wood. All right, I need to align the table, so I need about an equal distance all the way around. I think that looks pretty good there. So I'll put my screws in now. All right, it's time to put the screws in now. So I'll just screw them up nice and snug. Well, that's looking good. The screws aren't sticking through the top. So that's made a really strong, lightweight table. Now I've got to pick out a tree. I want to pick out plants that take up a lot of space, ones that I can make more compact. So I think this climbing aloe down here might be a good choice for the first plant to work on. So I'll get that up on our table here and we'll have a look at it. Before I get my first plant up on the table here, I just remembered I need a turntable. So I'll go outside and get my spinning tree bonsai turntable and put it on top. I brought the turntable in from outside. It's good and frosty. I think it's like -5 degrees Celsius outside. So there we are. Well, it's pretty cool. I might let it warm up a bit before I put the tree on top. All right, I'll get the aloe up on the table now that the table's nice and warmed up. So there it is. This is an aloe, and they get a pretty nice looking trunk on them. You can prune them back and develop it into a tree-like form, and that's what I'll be doing. I'll move away the little panda bear. The pot this tree is in is an Eldon Lease pot. He is one of the founding members of the Kitchener-Waterloo Bonsai Society. It's a really nice pot. All right, let's get to work on the aloe bonsai. Here's a look at the tree. At the moment, it's kind of growing in a clump style. I've got a trunk here, and there's some roots coming off of it. There's shoots coming up from the base. There's a branch coming off the trunk here, the main trunk. which is kind of exciting. It shows it branches. And right now it just kind of looks like a bit of a mess. So I think the first step, I'm going to clean up the root base and see what's happening down there. I'll come in now and start raking away the soil. Well, they definitely get lots of roots. It's kind of similar to my other aloe, the way it grows aerial roots. And you get all these kind of windy roots that go through the soil. So that'll be nice. Nice to see kind of a fancy root system on the plant. Kind of add some interest to it. So the soil was piled up quite high in this pot. Plus, I think as the roots have grown, it's kind of pushed up out of the pot a bit. Maybe in the summer I can repot it. That would be a good time to do it. When it's nice and warm and sunny out. Good time to repot succulent trees. I'll have to prune a few of these roots off that are sticking up here. Just to clean up the root base a bit. Alright, I'll come in here with the scissors and just prune away any roots that are kind of sticking above the soil line. Just kind of tightening the root system up a bit. Ones like these I'll leave. They're kind of cool looking roots. Very gnarly looking. I want to be able to see the lip of the pot around here. I don't want the soil piled up so high that it hides it. Yeah, so that's looking a lot better. I'll just get this one too. I haven't picked a front for this aloe yet. My next step, I think, is to prune back these really long branches, and then I can get a better look at the actual structure of the tree. I'm hoping when I prune back these really long branches that I get new shoots coming out, so it kind of back buds. I don't know if it will. I do have that one branch coming off the main trunk here, which is, you know, that's a good sign, but we will find out. I've never had this species before. I'm not sure how they react to pruning, so let's give it a try and we'll see what the results are in, you know, a month or two. I'm going to start with this one strong branch coming up here. And you can see the little nodes on it. So I'm assuming, you know, new foliage would come out from those nodes. So it kind of takes a turn here. So I'll keep that movement in it and I'll prune it off right here in between the nodes like that. So that is a long branch I just took off. I have no idea if they would grow from a cutting or not. Most aloes don't. You need to grow it from a pup, but these ones don't seem to really get pups. They seem to be more branches. So it might grow from a cutting. I can try it, but I don't know. Then I'd end up with more trees. I better not. I better just compost this aloe. I'll continue to prune away these long branches. I think this one will go back to here. Good long one to take off. And this one, this is the main trunk line, the thickest trunk in there. So I'm going to leave it a little longer than the others so it even gains more vigor. And I don't know what's going to happen after this pruning, whether they'll die back or if they'll sprout branches. So I'm going to prune this one back to some green foliage way out here. So here I go. That way, if everything else dies back, I'll probably still have this one living trunk on the plant. So I've got a long one coming up here. I'll prune that off to here. I've got some here. I can keep some green foliage on these ones too. Just pruning them back shorter, and same with this one. Like that. And then I've got a big one shooting up in the middle here. And I'll take that back to here. Like that. So that has got my aloe pruned back. It's a lot more compact now, that's for sure. This main leader does have the one branch coming off it here, and if it gets more branching here, I can cut it off shorter. I'm just leaving it long. Bit of an experiment for now. I'm going to leave all these dead leaves on here because I think it's kind of a cool look. It almost looks spooky or haunted. And you get that contrast between the green foliage and this dead foliage, and I like that. I think that's something we can explore more in the future. You know, on junipers you have the dead wood and the live veins, and on this aloe you might have the dead leaves versus the live green foliage. So that contrast between life and death is kind of cool. I think the front would probably be somewhere about here, and I may have to remove this one branch, or the opposite view, and I may have to remove some branches there to get a clear view of the trunk. But that's, you know, not a bad view. This trunk is quite thick down here. It's, you know, fairly thick. It's amazing. So that, you know, it may thicken up in future and get a very tree-like form, in which case I might remove all these, you know, this clump style and just make it a single leader. And we'll see how it develops in the future. It'll be interesting. After I've cut back all the foliage on this aloe, it doesn't need a lot of water. There's not all these leaves drawing water from the roots. So if you were to water it right now, it would stay wet for too long. I could give it a light misting, but you don't want to deeply water it after you've cut back a succulent. My next step, or my last step, will be just to clean up the pot, and then we'll have a final look at the tree. I'll just use a spray bottle and a paper towel, and I'll clean up the pot now. So one thing I like about tropical trees is the pots never see frost, so you never have to worry about your pot cracking from frost or from the cold. And you can keep a really nice pot for a long time without it falling apart. Whereas the outdoor trees, you know, it's risky. If you get a really good pot, you're pretty safe, but any of the cheaper pots, they just fall apart. So if you do keep your outdoor or your hardy trees in, you know, clay pots, make sure they're really high quality ones. Otherwise, you're just wasting your money. And, you know, when I say high quality, they usually cost at least $100 for a pot kind of this size. And this is a really nice pot. So it's signed Eldon Lease on the bottom. Eldon's in his 90s now. So he's doing really well. He mainly paints. He doesn't come to the meetings anymore, but he was the president of the club for years when I joined. He was always at every club meeting, always brought trees, and nice guy. Okay, let's do the final cleanup and have a look at the tree. Here's a final look at the aloe now. I'll rotate it around. It doesn't look much like a tree at the moment, but it'll get there in the future. I've seen some really good ones online. I was amazed at the tree-like form they got out of these climbing aloes. It'll be really interesting to see how the aloe reacts to the pruning that I gave it today. What'll happen, if it'll grow new branches. So we'll check in, you know, 3 or 4 weeks when something's developing. And that's all for today. I'm Nigel Saunders. Thanks for joining me in the Bonsai Zone.